felt very weird playing this game. It kind of felt like a shell of the Pokemon series. It was quite hollow inside. It felt very town, gym, straight route to the next town, then another gym, and it draws me comparisons to Octopath Traveler, which is not a good thing to be compared to. Now, while stripping out a lot of the annoying elements like the obtrusive story, the cutscenes, and the padding and filler, the streamlined focus on gameplay surely should be something I'd like. A more gameplay-focused Pokemon game, which is what I hammered on about in my latest video about how to improve Pokemon, but with the same old gameplay without any real major updates. It gave me the impression of a lack of inspiration or laziness almost. I'm sure Game Freak staff work really hard to knock out a game every year or so, but the burnout is pretty clear to see. You still start every Pokemon game like normal. You get your starter. Supposedly you can skip the catching tutorial, but I couldn't get this to happen, and you go on an adventure. Once again, I found it a tad too slow for my liking, with the establishing of the legends near your hometown almost feeling like an obligation. The main point is back to basics. You want to beat the gym leaders and beat the unbeatable champion, which is fine. Simple is fine. But Team Yell is added, as every game needs a team. Even if they do subvert the trait of them being global domination seeking bad guys instead of football hooligans, it just feels like arbitrary. They need to add this in because every Pokemon game has this. Along with the fact that the end of the world plot just seems to come out of nowhere, like, oh yeah, you need the plot for the legends and stuff now. Okay, cool. Okay, we'll do that now. Just chuck it in before the final battle. I still think that the world doesn't need that subplot. It could just be an optional thing which you can look into. Completely don't intrude on your league conquest if that's what they're going for, but they just throw it in because they need to. They also try to pretend that the side characters Hop and Bidet have character growth, with Hop constantly losing to you and he's all happy and but then he gets a little bit sad, but then he goes, it's fine because I can still be the best, but he still loses every game. And Bede losing and being a bit of a sore loser, then getting disqualified and coming back to fight you again, only to still be a sore loser and be like, maybe I should keep fighting Pokemon or something. It's very bizarre. It felt like it was going to be something more than just, I'm just going to fight you again. Especially when he joins up with the other gym leader. Like, it's like, he's going to train him to do... All it does is just change his type of Pokemon. And it's like, okay, I guess. I think he's almost like an Elite Four. That's what they were meant to go for, but it really didn't feel like it. Once again, it just feels arbitrary because Pokemon games need a rival. Moving on to the meat of the game, the gameplay itself. It's pretty much unchanged from past games. I can't tell if notifying what moves are super effective or not, if you fought or caught Pokemon before, is new, but honestly, there's nothing new here. The Mega Evolutions and the Z moves have been combined into Gigantamaxing or Dynamaxing, which some Pokemon, I can't really tell if they have a Gigantamax form, as it doesn't really look that different. Dynamaxing is just, it's exactly this. You do it for 3 moves, you get super big powerful moves and you get buffed a bit, but it's exactly the same as Mega Evolution, as it's always the last Pokemon of the gym leader or the last Pokemon of the battle, and it's you just do you look slightly bigger and cooler and do a sort of more powerful move. But we've done this before. It feels very stale. We've done it before. What did I like before moving on to the last point? Well, as a true-blooded Englishman, true-blooded Englishman, yeah. It was obviously nice to see a lot of British culture reference. I see mum and mate, and, there's a lot of English slang used, which is, with a lot less swearing. There's a postman called Pat. There's as a big fan of football, all the fact that the gyms are all stadiums and they all wore kits and stuff, it was nice. When the Dynamax Pokemon get defeated, they explode like the villains in Power Rangers or giant monsters in Godzilla Kaiju would. That's nice. That's a nice little touch. Ludicolo is back, so all is good. Who cares about Dexit? Ludicolo's there. HMs, that's a good one. They're a thing of the past. Surf being a bike upgrade, all passive, great. It's great. I mean, you don't need any of the HMs because there's no obstructions or any difficulty in the paths. It's just go forward to the next town. So the Pokemon in the overworld, that's the biggest thing. The fact that you can see the Pokemon is fucking great. Let's Go did that and they kept it over, which is great. It's so good. You can just avoid Pokemon if you want to. You can see the Pokemon you want to catch. You can battle the Pokemon you want to battle. It's just so much easier. It cuts so much annoyance in traveling and catching Pokemon. It cuts all that annoyance out. I think there's a random battle if you stay in the grass too long, which is like that's really annoying. Just take that out. Why did they put that in? Now, the last point is the build-up to the game. Really put the nail in the coffin in this one. One being the Dexit situation, and two, which annoyed me the most, was the fact that they said the wild area was like 2 areas in Breath of the Wild. One, Dexit is whatever, I don't care. Who cares? There's so many Pokemon that there's too many Pokemon. There's inflation. They cut them because they wanted to make less models and less balancing, and just streamline the game to make the rest of the areas better. Which is, I think that's a fine decision. But it obviously annoyed everyone, and I would be a bit more annoyed if Ludicolo wasn't in the game. But it also doesn't help that they made loads of new Pokemon, which are fine, they're fine, but it's becoming inflated in how many there are, and people, it's a bit tiring. And then they add in just like fan favourites, almost like Charizard, which is like because of merchandising. It's very bizarre. Like, I get it, but equally, if you want to do something completely new, just do 150 completely new Pokemon. But no, they need Pikachu, they need Eevee, they need Charizard, whatever. Or do the Galarian variants, or the new evolutions and stuff. They're the more fun stuff. So I understand why they culled the Dex, but they didn't handle it well, and it doesn't seem to have paid off in any other area of the game. So bad choice. That's it. If the rest of the game was really polished, it was really new and fresh, and it had loads of different ideas and different gameplay, I'd be like, fair enough. They really wanted to focus on that, but they clearly didn't. The gameplay is stale and old, and it's exactly the same as we have before. But the real kicker is the fact that the wild area isn't very big. It essentially boils down to just a big area where Pokemon randomly pop up in a very small and poor range of view in grassy areas. And you can move the camera around freely, which it doesn't matter because it just feels like the Safari Zone or the route or another route. There isn't any real distinction. The weather is weirdly gated in certain areas, and it isn't really that big, dense, or interesting. The raid battles are the things they're hyping up for this area, but frankly, they're kind of lame and boring. It's just a big disappointment. A load of Pokemon just come together and fight, and this one big Pokemon that you all beat pretty easily. It shows the typing before, so you just choose a Pokemon that'll crush it. No problem. It's a bit boring. I feel like they need a few years off to really shake the games up. Zelda did it, Mario did it. Their Switch games were revolutionary. Truly a breath of fresh air, whereas Pokemon feels as fresh as the air from London.